tripod mics. Let's do the standard check other places, make sure we are live. All right. Well, we are live, and welcome everyone to CCN Connection Crew News. Where you hear it first right now. I want to thank everyone for tuning in on this kind of a last-minute thing. You kind of been doing a Texas tour for a little bit, so you kind of been in Houston for about 48 hours, and you're able to squeeze in a couple conversations. You had one yesterday with Colin over at Digital Wildcatters. You had one today earlier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was Fox News in Midland this morning.
Fox News in Midland this morning.
Yep.
And now we're doing this. We're doing a live, kind of a casual conversation. I think we're going to open it up, too. We had some questions previously from our Twitter feeds and our LinkedIn feeds, so we're probably going to ask those questions. But we kind of want to turn it over to y'all, to because I think, and obviously we're going to get into this a little bit. I'm not doing my little intro, but I think primarily, you've been trying to get out there and trying to get people to ask you questions, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what we're doing right here, right now.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We got Jake Corley, the old Digital Wildcatter, saying y'all at an old folks home. No, this is called an operator's office. Not many people have seen one of these
on a
things.
Friday afternoon. It might sound like an old folks home. There's nobody here.
I went to the kitchen, and I haven't been in an operator's kitchen in quite some time, so that was very refreshing. So thanks for tuning in, Jake. Richard, hey JP, what's going on, Richard? Thanks for tuning in. And Toby, gig 'em boys, gig 'em Toby. How are y'all? So everyone, so pretty much this is kind of so there's a lot of I gotta give a shout out to my beautiful bride. Excited to tune in for this, and yes, I'm working. You're always working, Monica. That's why we love you. All right, So kind of the whole point of this is literally, I mean, you're in town for about 48 hours.
Yep.
You know, you reached out, you said, let's do something live. I think there's a lot of a need, a demand, a request to say, hey, look, like, I'm ready for some questions. You know, I want to do something live, and I like doing live things because,
absolutely,
number one, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Number two, I kind of like winging. It's very uncomfortable for me, so that's why we're doing this. Oh, man. Justin, I'm excited to listen in. Justin, thanks for tuning in, brother. Hope you're doing well, man. Justin Taylor. All right. Blast from the past. I'm here for it. Hope you and the family are doing well and y'all had a good break. Justin over Pinergy, my old alma mater, I guess, if you will, based out of Austin. So check those guys out. Great group of people over there. So I guess people are going to be tuning in through this and they'll be watching this later. So we're going to try to obviously, stick around your computer. We're going to have a kind of a short conversation. And then what we want to do, we want to kind of open it up to the people out there, the viewers kind of tuning in and listening out there. So everyone, first off, Tom, why don't you introduce yourself out there for those who are listening in, and then let's get into who you are. So first off, go ahead and introduce yourself out there.
Yeah, so my name's Tom Slocum, Jr. If you've known me for a long time, you might know me as TJ. A lot of people in the industry, but...
So is that tough for you? I mean, think about it. If I was JP for 16 years of my career, then I'm campaigning as James Patrick.
Yeah.
I mean, is that kind of a weird shift for you?
I wouldn't say so. I've been going by Tom now for several years, and it was just a little shift over to something a little bit more formal. You know, it's funny. Literally what got me doing it is one day I was going through a drive-thru at a Chinese place, and they wanted to know what my name was or whatever. Or I was calling it in actually.
I was going to say
calling it in, and they wanted to know my name, in to-go order. And I was like, yeah, it's TJ. And they're like, what? And I was like, Tom, T-O-M, Tom. They got it. And I was like, you know what? That was just so much easier. And so every time I called back after then, I said, yeah, it's Tom. And it was just there. It was great. It was easy. So
the only reason I'm JP
probably
is because fourth grade was Miss Farragher. I was going by James Patrick, but then she changed it to JP. But it was a mean teacher, so I just let it go as JP. So I've been JP ever since fourth grade. So that's kind of what's going on right now. We got a couple people more chiming in. Back for 22. Let's make it a great one. That's right, John. Hope you're doing well, brother. So Tom Slocum, Jr.
Got it.
And you are one of the candidates running right now for the Texas Railroad Commissioner
Correct.
Commission that's open.
Correct.
So before we kind of get into kind of the motivation behind that and kind of expectations, what's been going on, some other candidates that I guess you faced along your path towards the office. Let's kind of get a little background, kind of a little introduction for out there, those that kind of want to know a little bit more about you. So who is Tom Slocum?
Right. So I was actually born in Farmington, New Mexico, lived there for a couple of years because my father was transferred up there. He was working for Halliburton, and he was fracking wells for the federal government, actually, through Halliburton at Los Alamos. So, but my whole family's from Texas, really. And after living in New Mexico for a couple of years, I think I was 2 years old when we left. We moved to Brownfield, Texas. And Brownfield was a great place. If you're in Brownfield, you do one of two things. You're either a farmer or you work in oil and gas. And so from a very young age, I got to see oil and gas and farming coexist out there. And the big problem that we've always had is fresh water. So since I was a young kid, I've been very aware of all the activity we have around West Texas and in the middle of the oil field. But after living in West Texas and Brownfield, we lived there until 91. My father was transferred down to Louisiana, and I graduated high school down there outside of New Orleans, and made my way back to Texas as fast as I could. Went to Texas A&M and enjoyed Texas A&M thoroughly. Had a very well-rounded experience there. Got to experience Greek life and the Corps Cadets and student body government. And I was actually elected to vice president of class councils when I was a freshman. That was cool. That's the one thing I've run for and won. So right now I'm batting 1,000.
Okay. So have you always kind of had an interest in politics or kind of a public office to serve the public, if you will?
I've always had an interest in politics and oil and gas from a very young age.
Wow.
And when we moved to Louisiana, there was a famous bumper sticker on the back of a car as we were driving across the Mississippi River Bridge. And people in Louisiana may have seen the sticker before. It says, "Vote for the crook. It's important." And it was in reference to Edwin Edwards. All right. He was actually a Democrat at the time. He was under indictment. And no one knew anything about his opponent, who had kind of slid in under the radar. His opponent was this guy nobody had ever heard of, a guy named David Duke. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so the Republican Party actually spent money making bumper stickers that said, "Vote for the crook, Edwin Edwards. It's important," paid for by the Republican Party. Pretty sure H.W. Bush had something to do with that. He was president at the time when that happened. So I'm sitting here, and I'm very young, and I'm looking at this bumper sticker, asking my grandfather, "What is all this about?" And he's like, "Well, it's a little complicated here, but yeah,
Here's a beer. Let's talk about it.
yeah, it's time. We got to vote for the crook." Unfortunately, I said, "What does that mean? Why is it so crooked in Louisiana?" And so from then on, I was very interested in politics and how we got to where we're at. And you come over to Texas, and you think, well, Texas, we're not corrupt. There's no corruption here.
Right.
Everything's on the up and up here in Texas, right? We do things the right way in Texas. Well, surprise, surprise. Guess what? Politics is the same way in every state almost. And when there's a lot of money flying around in oil and gas, there's some things that happen that the voters probably don't appreciate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of been, I guess, your motivation to kind of start campaigning for the Texas Railroad Commission's office.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah,
All right.
Definitely some things going on that could be different, and things that are going on that should just not be happening, shouldn't be going on.
So before we get into that stuff, why don't you kind of fill in the audience of kind of what is the Texas Railroad Commission's I guess purpose, role? What does the office do? And I guess kind of why is it there?
Yeah. So the Railroad Commission, nothing to do with railroads anymore. It's been about 10 years. Probably time to rename it. But the Railroad Commission governs oil and gas production, development, midstream, downstream, the whole 9 yards on oil and gas, and surface mining as well.
Okay.
Which a lot of people may not know that, but
Okay.
they do. They govern all of that. Haven't messed with railroads, like I said, in 10 years. Just oil and gas, just surface mining. Should it be renamed? A lot of people have that question. Yeah, I think it's probably time to rename it. Do we have to spend a lot of money to do that? No.
Okay.
We could just do one pickup truck at a time.
Okay.
I mean, and the signage and whatnot, yeah, it costs a lot of money, but you don't have to do it all in one day. When you rename something, you don't have to do everything.
You can do a rollout.
We could spread it out over numerous years and make it to where it's not a big thing the taxpayers have to really be concerned about. So I think it does need to be renamed. It's past time. I'm proud to work in oil and gas. I'm not trying to hide the fact that I work in oil and gas. And I think here in Texas, we're the world's leader in oil and gas. Right. So the world leader in oil and gas has an agency called the Railroad Commission.
So you're seeing, so there's got to be some sort of motivation or some sort of fire that ignited to have you guess. I mean, first off, I mean, I'm sure the majority of people out there are kind of in the oil and gas industry, and the oil and gas
People watching this are.
People watching this are. So, what kind of, I guess, led? I mean, obviously, when people run for office, they want to do a change. They want to, I guess, fix the processes, or kind of.
There's something there that they want to do.
There's something there that needs to be fixed. What's there that needs to be fixed that kind of led you to kind of go down this campaign trail?
Right. Yeah. The number one thing that really concerns me as a voter, as a primary voter here in America, not just in Texas, is the amount of debt we have. I'm a very fiscally conservative guy. I'm along the lines of Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Ron Paul. I don't believe in spending money that we don't have. And so if you look at D.C., yeah, we've got lots of debt. And Republicans rail against debt in D.C. all day long. And then they turn around and they raise the debt limit and spend more money. Well, here in Texas, Republicans rail against debt and rail against spending. But then we look at how much debt the Railroad Commission has and if they've actually ever done anything about it. The answer is no. They haven't done anything about it, and there is a lot of debt there. How much debt? Well, there's an organization in Colorado called Carbon Tracker who says we have billions of dollars worth of debt. I know that's not the truth. And they published that in the Chronicle. And next thing you know, Wayne Christian wrote op-ed in the Chronicle saying, oh, well, that's not right. It's much less than that. Well, I agree with Wayne. It is much less than $1 billion. I think it's somewhere around 200 million. However, Wayne, if you read his op-ed, he doesn't have any solution for getting rid of that liability. The Railroad Commission spends $30 million a year right now on plugging orphaned wells. They get, I think it's $267 million every 2 years, I think is what the last budget that was approved. And so $30 million a year, $200 million in liability, and that number is growing. So how are we ever going to get rid of all that liability if all we get is $30 million a year? So
you have a solution.
I have a solution.
We have a solution. Okay.
We have a solution. You know what? The solution doesn't involve more taxpayer money. It doesn't.
Okay.
And so that's a lot of people. Well, we got to raise taxes. We got to raise bonding on oil companies. Raise bonding on oil companies. Let me tell you what happens when you raise bonding on oil companies.
Tell us.
You raise bonding on oil companies. That doesn't solve the problem.
Right. Okay.
That just means, as an oil company, it's going to cost you more money to operate your business.
Okay.
Period. All right. Now, if you go bankrupt as an oil company, your bond might be a little bit more, and the state of Texas might get a little bit more money from it. But guess what? That bonding money goes to the state's coffers. It does not go to the Railroad Commission.
Okay. So
the state is in control of the bonding money. So the state is saying, we're not really good at handling the money that we're getting right now, and we can't handle the problem, but we just need more of it. Just trust us.
Yeah,
and just
throw money at the problem.
Throw more money at the problem, and we're not going to fix it, but yeah, we need more money thrown at the problem. What needs to happen is we need money from outside of the tax base, outside of Austin, because the Republicans in Austin don't want to handle this, and they've just run away from it.
So where's that money going to come from?
Right. It's going to have to come from private individuals. It's going to have to come from industry itself. It's going to have to come from avenues that aren't tax related.
Okay.
It's going to have to be really nonprofits that help do this. And people are like, oh, well, Tom's just saying that because he started a nonprofit.
Yeah. So how does that work?
Yeah.
So you are over the orphan well.
I founded the Texas Well Protected Energy Foundation. If I become Railroad Commissioner, I will definitely step away from that organization and turn that over to somebody else completely. But we don't need taxpayer money going to these nonprofits. That's something else. People are like, oh, you're just trying to get money pumped into your nonprofit. No, I don't want any taxpayer money going into my nonprofit. Do I think industry and private citizens should be donating to this nonprofit? Yes.
Okay.
Should they be donating to all these nonprofits? Yes.
Okay.
There's nonprofits in Texas besides mine that do this. There's nonprofits in Montana and Colorado. Yes, everybody should if you want the problem solved. If you want oil and gas to be better, If you don't want all these problems popping up left and right all over the place, and you don't want to have to rely on the Railroad Commission or our elected officials in Austin to fix it, then yeah, we're going to have to do some of that work ourselves in order to make sure that we're energy strong and we have a good image, number one, but we're also taking care of Texans. This is Texans taking care of
You
Texans.
spoke about that before with me on my other podcasts.
Yeah.
How passionate you are about, the Texas workforce, the people in Texas, and jobs in Texas. You have spoken to that many times. Before you even running.
Right. Yeah. This is a real problem, and elected officials have no solution for it. The big government is not going to save the day. All right. I am a conservative through and through, and I'm sitting here telling you right now that our officials in Austin can't solve this problem.
Okay. All right.
All right. They're not going to.
So besides the debt issue right now that I guess you're looking at, what other kind of big pieces that you're looking to kind of get in there and kind of move up and shake, or kind of get in there and kind of add to the? What other platforms are you kind of looking at to focus on as the candidate?
Yeah. So one of the biggest problems that people talk about right now is the freeze, and they talk about, well, we don't have enough natural gas, and I think there was a report somebody had published last week. When temperatures got cold, we lost, I think, 25% of our natural gas production in West Texas when things just got cold. It cold snapped. That's not good. And at the same time, Abbott's going out there making statements saying, oh, we've got plenty of power, no worries. And Wayne Christian actually tweeted out, I think, today, we're all good on our power grid or something to that effect. Well, the truth of the matter is that we've only made so many minor changes according to the legislation that was passed earlier this past spring. All right, we've done a little bit of winterization, but we need more auditing. And they did hire a guy at the Railroad Commission named Ted Wooten. You can look him up on LinkedIn. I think everybody should look at Ted. Ted's got great experience, and he is in charge of the critical infrastructure of the Railroad Commission. And he's telling the people of the Railroad Commission right now, as we're sitting here right now, JP, I'm sure he's telling the people of the Railroad Commission, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this to protect our critical infrastructure. The question is, JP, are the people of the Railroad Commission actually listening to him? Will he be there in 3 or 4 months? Will they listen to him, follow what his recommendations are? Or will Ted find out something different, that they don't want to take his recommendations, and will Ted bow out?
Well, we're talking about the current Wayne. We're seeing a lot of conversations on, obviously, this campaign has been enjoyable to watch, to say the least. It's been exciting, and kind of unexpectedly exciting to watch. I think there's been a lot of good conversations and fun conversations to kind of sit back and watch, grab a cocktail or a bucket of popcorn and watch. But there's all this comments about Wayne, Wayne not being there, Wayne not showing up to the debates that you're trying to put together, people are trying to put together, other candidates are trying to put together. So we got a question. What's going on? Where is it? What's going on with where's Wayne? What's happening in Wayne's world? Has there been any response from his office about? I mean, obviously it seems I've never seen a Railroad Commission race like this. Maybe I haven't been paying attention, but it seems like with so much activity and noise and focus and limelight on this right now, you'd want to get involved in this.
Yeah, you would think so. I don't know what's going on in Wayne's world. I guess it's party time excellent. I have no idea. I think he's going around making his normal GOP functions, rubbing shoulders with, the establishment that wants him there.
Okay.
And they're backing him up, but he's not showing up to the blowout out there that's happening in West Texas right now.
We're going to get to the blowout a little bit, because I know that you and also Sarah's been out there a bunch as well, kind of looking at that. So
that's right.
We have a question right here from Darren. I think honestly, like the way this is going to go, I think if you just got a question and all that stuff, it kind of fits in. We're just going to bring it up on the screen so we can kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So Daryl Huddleston said, "Is there a budget proposal solution and Railroad Commission agency message from the candidate, from you?"
A budget proposal solution.
A budget proposal solution.
Yeah, that would a budget proposal solution. You would be trying to tell me that, is there a way to spend more of our taxpayer money to clean up orphaned wells with a budget proposal solution?
Okay.
Essentially, that's the way I take that. And so I would say no, there is not right now, because I can lobby the speaker and I can lobby Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick and everyone else and say you need to spend more money doing this,
Yeah.
I can say that all day long. Are they going
to
to listen to me? Probably not.
Right.
You know, could we use money from the rainy day fund to completely wipe out all $200 million worth of debt tomorrow? Yeah. Are they going to do it? No, they're not. They're not going to do it. They won't spend the money doing it. It's that simple. I'll fight. Believe me, I will fight and say, hey, we should definitely spend what we need to solve this problem. But they won't do it. And because they won't do it, that's the reason I'm trying to say we have to have nonprofits fulfill the role here of government.
Well, Richard Welsh chimes in. He says taxpayers fund nonprofits. And then in response to Daryl's question, he says, the question was this, is there a budget proposal solution? And Richard chimes in. He says, doesn't sound like it. It sounds like, you're asking taxpayers to bail out the Railroad Commission.
No, yeah. Well, taxpayers fund nonprofits. That's funny. No one's forcing taxpayers to fund nonprofits, really. If you want to write a check, you can. That's a federal deduction. So that's coming off of federal taxes. That's not coming off the state taxes, right? So what do you want? Do you want the state of Texas to spend the money, Daryl, or whoever this is, or
Richard Welsh?
Richard
going for Congress too.
All right, Richard.
He's been campaigning as well.
So, Richard, my question to you, Richard, who would you rather pick up the bill on this? Would you rather the state of Texas pick up the bill, which is us, the people living here in Texas, or would you rather have a tax donation that's a federal deduction off of federal taxes? Now, you pick one or the other, all right? Because it's going to be one or the other. Those are your only two choices. That's it. And if you want to know about creating nonprofits to solve this problem, just in case anybody wants to know, well, where did Tom get this wild idea to start a nonprofit? It was the people that work for Ted Cruz. So there you go.
Okay.
His staff members. They said, that's a great idea. That's how you solve the problem. Because they told me there's no way the state of Texas is going to spend more money on this, and it would have to be nonprofits. So this isn't some kind of liberal, crazy idea that some greenie from California whispered in my ear. This is people that work for Ted Cruz saying this is the only solution for the problem. So, hey, and you know what? If you've got a problem with nonprofits fixing this, I would love to hear from you how you will fix this problem. And if you come up with a better solution, please, I am open ears. But until then, I'm telling you, this is the only way to solve the problem.
And you can reach Tom. Hey, Tom, throw out your email out there. For
Tom at slocumfortexas.com. And if you agree with what I'm saying here, you can go to slocumfortexas.com and hit the red donate button.
Boom.
And fire away.
That's it. That's the beautiful bit. And okay, we got some more questions. We got old Danny Juarez saying, why stop at nonprofits and not go through the DAO, which is decentralized autonomous organization? I knew that. I didn't though. But so why? Are you familiar with this?
I don't know.
It's a little bit above my pay grade, but if you can speak to this, go ahead.
I don't know, man. Decentralized autonomous organization. Yeah, I don't know. I think the main reason you want to go through a nonprofit is because when somebody makes that donation, they get the federal tax deduction. That's the incentive for them to do that. And I don't think you can do that through one of those. I guess you could just raise money that's not tax deductible. If that's what you think the better answer is, then great, go for it, man. But I think raising money that's tax deductible from the federal government is a better idea in my purview. That's just me.
Okay. And so we had Justin Taylor with a Pinergy throw. I may have missed this point in the intro, but is Tom running against Wayne? Does he support Christie and Jim? So yes, he is running against Wayne. I think there's 4 other candidates running.
There are 4 people running against Wayne Christian.
Right.
He is getting primaried to the hilt.
Okay. Yes. And so you support Christie and Jim.
Do I support Christie and Jim? I think Christie Craddock is a career politician that doesn't have any industry experience. I don't think we should have people at the Railroad Commission that don't have industry experience.
Okay.
It's that simple.
So talk to us about real quick about, give us a brief kind of elevator pitch on kind of your industry experience and kind of how it helps you, I guess, prepare or makes you a good fit for this role. How about that?
Yeah. So I have real industry experience. And even going back to when I was in school at Texas A&M, I interned in the chemistry lab. Even though I have a degree in political science, I worked in the chemistry lab because I enjoy all that type of stuff.
Okay.
And also, the same time I was working in the chemistry lab, I was also interning for a cement lab here in Houston. It was called CSI. The guy that ran it, Fred Sabins, he used to run the Halliburton Cement Lab in Duncan, Oklahoma. He started his own lab here in Houston. We put it together. I helped him out with that. Got to learn everything about oil field cement testing, and then he sold it off to Superior. So I did that while I was in college, before I'd even graduated with my poli-sci degree. When I was a senior at A&M, my poli-sci final senior paper that I did on a 400 level class for Dr. Robertson was about oil and gas.
Okay.
What does poli-sci have to do with oil and gas? A lot. Let me tell you, energy and trading oil and gas makes the world go around. Entire wars were fought over oil and gas.
Right.
So World War II, that was controlled with oil and gas. So if you want to get into what politics have to do with oil and gas, man, that's a long conversation. James Baker would really be great if you want to learn more about that. And I'm hoping to maybe sit down with him one day while he's still here on Earth.
I saw an interesting question off of Twitter, and I think this is a great question. I mean, obviously, right now in the short run, right now is for the Texas Railroad Commissioner. Right. Yeah. What are the political, I guess, aspirations that kind of should this land where do you want to go? I mean, do you want to stay in politics?
Right.
You want to kind of go. Well, what do you feel like fixing up and coming back?
I believe in supporting Texas.
Okay.
I am all about Texas. Oil and gas is part of Texas. I work in oil and gas.
Right.
If I can strengthen oil and gas and strengthen Texas together and make us stronger, great. If I find other ways to make Texas stronger, wonderful. If somebody one day calls me up and says, Tom, we really like what you've done in Texas with oil and gas and what you've done as a railroad commissioner, we think you should run for another office. Am I going to tell them no? Would you tell them no if you were in that position? I don't know.
So you're just kind of looking this as a kind of like, this is the next step. I'm focused on this now.
I'm focused on the Railroad Commission in Texas and oil and gas in Texas. And we'll see what happens in the future, all right? But we've got a lot of work in front of us right here. I've got work for years, right? But in 6 years, it's a 6-year term. In 6 years, if we can't get rid of all the orphaned wells in Texas in 6 years, I'll plug wells for a living. That's one thing I do. If I'm as a railroad commissioner, somebody that plugs wells can't get in there and get that straightened out, we got big problems.
Okay.
We got big problems. And I want to get in there and straighten it out as fast as we can. If we can take wells off that orphaned well list and do something else with them, make more oil and gas coming out of them, or turn them into geothermal, or do anything with them at all, then we should. We shouldn't have them on that list. We need to get that list down to 0 as fast as we can. Eliminate our liability.
Goal 0, just like an HSC.
0. That's
0.
right.
Target 0.
Target 0, baby.
We got another question from Quentin Jones. Have you spoken? First off, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is exciting. I love it. All right. Have you spoken to any of the other candidates challenging Abbott around issues you see with the current Railroad Commission and ideas you have to address? If so, are they open to helping?
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to talk to any of the Abbott challengers. I think they would be open to it. I think some of the Abbott challengers are more fiscally conservative than he is, and they would align themselves with my messaging here that we need to eliminate the debt. And listen, Greg Abbott hasn't done anything to address it, so they certainly would want to do that, and I would be right there along with them. There's lots of organizations, lots of people out there that believe that are conservative organizations and conservatives that believe what's going on in Austin is not conservative, right? And they want to see lots of changes there. So I'd love to talk to them. I know it's Alan West and Chad Prather and Don Huffines, I believe, and I think there's one more. But yeah.
So you're always down to talk to talk.
Down to talk to him, yeah, for sure. Hit me up. I'll be happy to talk to you if y'all want to have a conversation about how to make Texas stronger and eliminate our debt, be more fiscally conservative. I'm definitely about that.
All right. Well, let's see. Richard has one else saying that throwing it on me. I'm not running for your office. Ooh, I love political discussions. It's heat. I love it. Okay. Well, we got Toby chiming in. This is a great question, Toby. Toby, these type of questions, I'm going to ask it like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. That's my secret. Maybe expand on the link between oil and gas and the future incorporating blockchain as well as crypto mining.
All right. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Some people.
Oof.
Yes.
Real quick before we continue, I got to throw out something for Andrew. Can you see if Tom has square round toes? Those are round toes.
Round toes.
EFT.
Round toe, baby. Round. There we go.
Kicking up. Round
toe.
Round
toe. All day.
So let's get into this blockchain and crypto mining as part of the Railroad Commissioner role. How about that?
Yeah. So somebody actually on Twitter confused the two yesterday. And they said, well, what does Bitcoin have to do with the Railroad Commission? And what does blockchain have to do the Railroad Commission? It doesn't seem like that there's any application at all. Well, maybe it's because you haven't thought about it or you haven't talked to people that are actually in the space. And what I mean by that is there's a group called Data Gumbo, I believe it is.
Data, yep.
Yeah, you heard of those guys?
I've heard Data Gumbo. Yep.
Yeah, I mean they've gotten just a little bit of traction lately.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think,
Yeah.
you know, they use blockchain technology. All right, they're going to be implementing what I want to see implemented with orphaned wells, which is every time you do something to a well, it's documented, record, and it's out there for whoever is deemed to be necessary to see it. And so when it comes to orphan wells, that stuff is public record.
Okay.
And so we could be using blockchain technology to make sure these records are there forever. People are like, what do you mean records? Why is that important? Why is that important? Well, that blowout that's happening out there, guess what? It's been going on for 7 days. They still don't know exactly what well bore is blowing out because there are not good records.
Okay. All right.
So why do we need good records? When crazy stuff like that happens.
Right.
Should we be going through all of our old records and processing them and putting them online? Yes.
Okay.
Do people in Austin want to do that? No.
So that's about.
Does that cost us money when we don't do that? When we don't have access to records when we need them,
Well, yeah,
when
I mean,
there's a blowout.
7-day blowout.
Right. Is that costing us money?
Yes.
Is that costing environmental damage?
And it's also a not good image. Of
Doesn't
the
look
industry.
good when we can't figure out what well it is
Right.
because we don't have good records. That's pretty bad.
Okay. All right. And so and
That's blockchain. But to answer the other part of the question, Bitcoin mining. Why is that important to oil and gas? What does Bitcoin mining have to do? Okay. Well, going back to the freeze, we had a short supply in electricity. How do we increase that supply of electricity? Well, Abbott wanted to build a bunch of natural gas generation power plants here, and he wanted Warren Buffett to do it, and he had legislators in Austin write a bill, and we were all going to pay for it, except the legislature said, no, we don't like that. We're not going to do that.
Okay.
And they shot it all down. So what's the solution to actually bring a free market approach instead of taxing people like Abbott wanted to do? Abbott wanted to tax everybody. Okay, everybody, you hear that? Greg Abbott wanted to tax everybody to fix the problem. That's what his solution was. And the legislature said no. All right. And then Abbott comes out and says, hey, bold statement here. We're not going to have any problems. Everything's fine, even though his plan did not get passed. All right. That's not a solution. That's not a solution. That's just talking out your butt, really. All right. A solution is to start using all this flare gas to make electricity with it. All right. If we need to get rid of regulations to make that happen, which would be the conservative thing to do, then we start doing it right now. Wyoming did it. They got rid of flare gas completely. The flare gas tax completely. What is the flare gas tax? That is a tax on gas that was once being flared, that if you're using it to make electricity, they're going to charge you a tax on it now. That's what happens in Texas. If you want to take flare gas and you want to make electricity,
you get taxed on that?
You get taxed on it. Now, if you want to just set gas on fire, no problem, no tax.
Doesn't cost you a dime.
Doesn't cost you a dime. Doesn't cost you a dime. You know, whatever, great. But if you want to take that gas and make electricity with it, or mine Bitcoin, or sell it on the grid because it's negative 15 outside and everything's froze over in the whole damn state. No, you know, our Republican friends in Austin, they don't think it's a good idea to repeal the flare gas tax. I called them over the summer and put my boot up, several other butts. Some of them we went to A&M with. We actually know some of them. They're state reps.
That Aggie
JP.
network did not help at all.
The Aggie network fell apart when it comes to repealing the flare gas tax. I don't know what happened. So here I am running for railroad commissioner in the state of Texas. I'm the only conservative in the whole state that is up here saying we need to repeal the flare gas tax and do what Wyoming did 2 years ago. So please, if you're actually fiscally conservative, you'll be on board with me to completely get rid of it completely, altogether. You can get an exemption right now after 12 months in Texas, all right?
Okay.
They'll exempt you after, but you have to prove that you've been flaring it for 12 months. And then, oh, okay, well, now we'll give you 12 months, really? You know how much Bitcoin I could mine in 12 months?
One. I don't know, but it sounds like that. Maybe one.
Maybe
Half.
one, right?
A half.
So you got this huge loss of opportunity with the current regulations we have. We have to completely get rid of that flare gas tax all the way for upstream, midstream, downstream, the whole 9 yards. There can't be any taxes associated with taking flare gas and making electricity out of it. If you want a stronger energy grid tomorrow, then that's what you would do. You would tie all this with FERC licenses and create a streamlined process to where an operator can get a license to sell electricity from ERCOT, from FERC, have it all set up, and even have it set up maybe to where, hey, we've got some kind of handshake agreement to where if it hits a certain point, we're not going to mine Bitcoin anymore. Well, I mean, you don't even really need a handshake agreement. It's really the free market. Okay, at some point, that electricity is worth more on the grid than it is to you mining Bitcoin. But also, as a Bitcoin miner in Texas, if you participate in something like this, it would be your time to shine. If everything freezes over and you're like, you know what, for 4 days this year, we're going to turn off our Bitcoin mining and we're going to save the state of Texas.
So if Texas is freezing, Bitcoin fixes it.
Bitcoin can fix the freeze. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not talking out my butt here. This is real stuff.
Bitcoin can fix it.
That's right.
Hashtag. All right. Taylor Kelly said, if elected, what is the first thing you will do in office?
The first thing I will do in office. That's great.
Great question.
I mean, the first thing I'll do as a railroad commissioner.
Yeah.
The very first thing I would do would be to call for better audits of what we've done on the winterization side to make sure that our supply is there to meet the demand. I think that's the number one concern on everybody. The front of their head right now is do we have electricity? Because we just experienced something really gnarly and we don't want that happening again. And I would make sure that Ted Wooten is a happy camper.
Okay.
And I would make sure that any professional that we bring in to handle critical infrastructure like Ted is handling, we make sure that these people are actually qualified for the position like Ted is, but also make sure that everybody at the Railroad Commission is listening to them. That'd be the absolute first thing I would do. I'd say, hey, we brought in industry experts. Y'all need to listen to them. I'm going to listen to them. Are you going to listen to them, Christy and Jim? Jim is from the industry.
Okay.
Jim should be listening without thinking about campaign contributions in the back of his head.
Okay.
He should be open ears. Hopefully all the commissioners would be. But if somebody from the industry who's an expert comes in and starts telling you what changes you need to make and why, and they've been in the industry for 30 or 40 years, you better listen to them. You better follow their advice. And, you know, I don't know if that's really happening right now at the Railroad Commission.
Okay.
I get the feeling it's not.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, that's okay. I mean, that's the first thing I would do if I was banging out a selfie. That's what I would do. Major hashtags. All right. And we got Taylor again chiming in. Do you support the future disposal of flare gas like we currently dispose of produced water, stored in the ground for future use?
Storing flare gas in the ground. So pumping the gas back into the ground. It costs money to do that.
Okay.
And so let me tell you a story about that, Ags. Over in Iraq, they decided they were going to outlaw flare gas. And we're going to do it real fast. Well, Kurdistan took that to a whole nother level. They said, I think they got 12 months left now. In 12 months, by the end of this year, by the end of 22, there will be no flared gas in Kurdistan whatsoever. And if they have to, they will pump it back into the ground because Kurdistan is a very small country and they barely have any resources there. And they don't even have electricity at night because Baghdad turns it off sometimes. Because they're like, yeah, you know what? We don't like the Kurds today. We're just going to turn the electricity off.
Standard Baghdad.
Standard Baghdad, yep. So here's the deal. They're going to take their flare gas and they're going to make electricity out of it. And they're going to have a better grid in Kurdistan. And then the excess gas, they are going to put back into the ground because they're such a small country. We are a massive country.
Okay.
We sit on a ridiculous amount of gas.
Okay.
Should we be wasting the energy to pump that gas back into the ground? Probably not. What's another reason why we shouldn't be doing that? Well, look at what's going on with all the stuff we're pumping into the ground right now in West Texas. We got a little blowout here, a little earthquake there.
A couple earthquakes.
I don't know, man. You tell me. With all the earthquakes and the saltwater blowouts, should we be pumping more stuff back into the ground if we don't have to? If we can make money, we've already seen it costs money to get that gas out of the ground to begin with, right?
And it'll cost money putting it back.
Put it back in.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to compress it. Well, how about we just turn it into money or turn it into electricity so when we freeze our ass off, if you're freezing your butt off because there's no electricity for 4 days, I bet you on day 4 you're like, yeah, maybe.
I wish Bitcoin would fix this.
I wish we would have pumped that gas back into the ground. I wish we would have turned it back into electricity.
Okay.
It would be warming my butt up right now, right? Yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
We have Cat Galloway chiming in with speaking of the freeze, how is the Railroad Commission doing on preventing freeze-outs? 5% decline in natural gas production last weekend.
Yeah, it was 5%. Okay, I thought it was 25, but I guess it was 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess Kat would know. So Kat is a very knowledgeable person. She is an environmental regulatory expert in Austin. So I appreciate that question, Kat. Yeah,
great question, Kat.
Great question. Yeah, losing that much of our natural gas with just a little cold snap, just 24-hour cold snap, I think is kind of like that should pique people's attention and make them realize that if it would have been cold for 2, 3, 4 days, it would have been more like 10, 15, 20, starting to get up there on how much percentage of the gas that we lose. And so at a certain point, if we lose too much gas, then we're going to lose electricity too, right? So I think that whatever gas we did lose this last week, if I'm Railroad Commissioner, I'm going, okay, can we go look at that and see what gas we lost? Is that critical? Is that part of the critical infrastructure or not?
Okay.
If it is part of the critical infrastructure, then we should address it.
Okay.
Because we can't have any pieces that are critical to us keeping electricity on failing. If we do that, Republicans are going to look really bad. Okay, we've already been beaten over the head once with this whole freeze thing. We can't afford to get beaten over the head twice with it. And Greg Abbott's out there rolling the dice. That's the deal. He's hoping that we don't have a cold winter.
And so how is the Railroad Commission doing on preventing it right now? I mean, what are they doing?
There are changes that are being made, and I have seen people actually post stuff online and say, hey, here's where we put in a little device to catch the fluid to make sure there's no water in the gas lines, right? Because that's typically what happens is there's a little bit of water in there, freezes up. Yeah. So a lot of the changes that you can make to winterize your field are not expensive changes. And this isn't like reinventing the wheel. I mean, JP, have you been in North Dakota before? We got a little bit of natural gas up there, right?
Okay.
I mean, that natural gas in North Dakota, it stays flowing.
Yeah.
It gets -20 in North Dakota. Well, it's probably 0 there right now, right?
Another day in the
just another day in North Dakota, right? So there's small changes, smart regulations that need to be implemented on our gas side to make sure that we don't have disruptions. And the whole reason we're having to do this exercise to begin with is because we don't have coal plants anymore. Why don't we have any more coal power plants? Well, they're going offline in Texas. Well, what's all that about? Well, Obama and Joe Biden and the EPA, when they were in office, they decided we're going to get rid of all the coal plants in America. If Texas decided it wanted to secede from America tomorrow, and I was elected president of Texas,
would you support that?
Oh, the first thing I would do is I would open up all the coal plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Texas succeeds. First line of business: open up the
coal plants.
Open up the coal plants.
Open up the coal plants immediately to make sure we've got backup power. It's that simple. Should we be tearing down coal plants and shipping them to China so they can open them back up? No. Should we save these coal plants as like an ace in the hole, like a backup,
just in case,
like your backup generator that you keep in your garage? I think so.
Okay.
Just in case things get crazy. You never know what's going to happen. We need backup sources of power. We had a nuclear power plant go offline last year in our freeze. Everybody's like, nuclear power, that's supposed to be perfect. Well, the pond froze over. All right. So, yeah, we need as much backup power as we can get. We got so many people moving to Texas because Texas is so badass. It's just a freaking awesome place to live. It is a freaking place to be. So our demand is just going to continue to do this, go straight up exponentially, right? If we don't keep up on the supply side,
we're going to be seeing stuff that you seen that we saw last February and stuff like that.
That's right.
Okay. All right. I get it. So talk to me about, obviously, if people have questions, feel free to chime in. I kind of want to go over a little more some other things right now. So tell me about this whole campaign. Look, you're trying to get this debate going, and there's some people that have agreed. I know Sarah's agreed to the debate. I know you've agreed to the debate. There's Sarge. Is he agreed to the debate?
I think he has. I haven't heard anything official, but I heard he
You
would.
and Sarge have such a great relationship. I just want to bring that up. It's such good banter. It's so fun.
You know, I just want to have a little debate. You know, I mean, it's like you think I was asking for the stars and the moon, but no, you know, and the same people running against Abbott, they're doing the same thing. They want to have a debate too, and they're saying, you know what, Greg Abbott, just because you're the incumbent doesn't mean you get to get off with a free pass.
Okay,
you know, and that's the same thing with Wayne. And if you're going to challenge the incumbent and you think that you don't need a debate, wow.
All right, so
wow, you know, that's all I got to say.
so we have the majority of the real quick. We have the majority of the candidates that have agreed to the debate, right? Except Wayne, I believe, right?
I believe so.
That's kind of that stuff that I'm getting off of Twitter and LinkedIn.
Yeah, from what Wayne hasn't tweeted out, hey, I'll be happy to debate. Now, I haven't read that. If you hear that, let me know.
All right, if anyone hears that, let us know. So pretty much, so when is this debate going to happen?
I'm talking to Ector County GOP right now, and we're trying to plan it for with the next couple of weeks in the Midland and Odessa area. And I think we'll be lucky enough to have it at the either the Marriott Convention Center in Odessa or at the Bush Conference Convention Center in Midland.
Okay.
So one or the other, and it should be coming sooner than later. We're trying to plan it right now, and we're trying to plan one here in Houston as well. So JP, man, you could hopefully make that one, and maybe we could do some little live stuff before and after.
I'm down with it. If I get my questions from this wonderful audience, I will ask away. But when it comes to my personal question, I'll do it. I think I got some BS to kind of throw out there. So pretty much, so the debate's going to be happening.
Yes, as far as I know, we are having a debate in Midland, and as far as I know, we're going to have one here in Houston too. I think Katie Meinhardt was actually trying to arrange one here in Houston. And guys, here in Houston, if you're interested in helping us out hosting the debate here, give us a shout. Shout out to me. Shout out to Dwayne Tipton and to Sarge and to Sarah Stogner, and go ahead and Wayne too. But we would love to have it. Montgomery County Tea Party had said that they would be interested in maybe helping out. There's some other local GOP groups here that might, but if anyone's listening and they want to help participate in this and help make Texas more energy strong and hold our elected officials accountable, then you should take part in this. We would love to have you.
How was the campaign process? What were your expectations, I guess, or expectations before you started the campaign? And kind of what's the reality that you kind of find yourself in with a campaign trail?
Yeah. Well, you know, luckily I've got that little political science degree. So, you know, people dog me on that all the time, but
who dogs you on that?
Oh man, these people on Twitter, it's funny. But you know, it's having knowledge of how to run a campaign and having worked on campaigns before, which I have, helps you out substantially.
Okay.
If you're going to run for office and you've never actually worked on a campaign, which I don't think any of my, maybe Wayne Christian did a long time ago.
Okay.
But as far as I know, Sarge Summers, Dwayne Tipton, and Sarah have never worked on a campaign. I've worked on multiple campaigns, so I kind of knew what to expect on a statewide level in a statewide race. If you're going to be a serious contender, there's certain things you have to do. Right, you've got to traverse the entire state.
Yeah, and you have been doing that. You've been going out to West Texas a lot. You've been making your trips kind of all around. I've been seeing.
Yeah. I've made a trip up to East Texas. I'm planning one down in South Texas. I'm going to be plugging a well up in North Texas pretty soon. I'm going to every region. I'm meeting everyone. I'm trying to figure out, do y'all have issues here with the Railroad Commission? And just about every time I show up, the answer is yes.
Okay.
And these aren't issues from liberal Democrats that just moved here from California. Okay. These are issues from 5th generation, 6th generation landowners who are very concerned about their state. And they're actually concerned about people from outside of our state. Like all the yo-yos that the governor had appointed at ERCOT, right? Those were governor-appointed people running ERCOT that weren't even from Texas.
All right.
They don't want people that are not from Texas running the show in Texas.
Okay.
It's that simple. They want people that care about the state, care about the land, and care about the water running the show, more importantly than anything. And they want to make sure that you're not on the take, you're not taking massive contributions from companies. So in the future, you'll vote a certain way, or you'll do something, some favor for them down the line. They want to make sure that you're clean, that you're not dirty. These are GOP primary voters. They do not want corrupted elected officials in office.
Right. So so more on the campaign, kind of the personal side of things. Man, this Daryl's got 254 counties in Texas. Thank you. Daryl's just a wealth of knowledge right there.
It's a long haul, Daryl. You're right.
So talk to me about I mean, look, you have the experience kind of, running a campaign, and all that stuff. But I'm talking about the actual campaign, getting on the road, meeting the people, seeing the feedback on Twitter and all that stuff. Obviously, because when you're going for office, not everyone's going to agree with you. You know what I mean? That's right. Not everyone's going to kind of see it how you see it.
Yeah.
I don't know who that
Some
is.
people think Wayne hung the moon. They're Wayne's great.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying this. When it comes to kind of like, I guess, getting out there and spreading your message, kind of your platform and all that stuff, and then you have, I guess, critics or people are questioning stuff. How's that been, I guess, going? How are you fielding that and all that stuff?
I've
that's got to be the reason I'm saying that's got to be challenging for me. Like, I think something's like I'll put a meme out there. I think it's funny. People are like, oh, no. It's like, oh, great. Should I take it down?
Yeah,
like,
there's always trolls.
Yeah.
There's always people trolling, and there's always haters out there. Out of the people, when it actually comes to campaigning and selling myself in front of GOP primary voters, I've only had maybe 2 people that have told me I'm going to support Wayne. And those were people that were elected officials that were supporting the establishment.
Okay.
So, yeah, the establishment, the swamp in Austin, they want Wayne to be there because they've got a relationship with Wayne.
Okay.
Right? And whatever it might be. But guess what? The grassroots voters, they don't. They don't have any relationship with Wayne. And they see real problems, and they see Wayne not doing anything about it. So when I'm able to actually talk to them one-on-one, all those grassroots voters, they all love the idea of me becoming railroad commissioner because they know they'll have somebody there that will actually have accountability and transparency.
Okay. It seems like, there seems like there's such a huge shift, not just, I'm not talking about the office, but I'm talking about, what it's industry wide or whether it's other industries as well, all that stuff. What happens when, I guess, a subject or topic comes up that you might not be, well versed in or that familiar with and all that stuff? How do you plan, to learn up quickly in order to make, an informed decision?
Yeah, I haven't been approached with any questions yet that I haven't been able to answer. As far as the compliance and the regulations go, which is what the Railroad Commission actually governs, right?
Okay.
All right. You have all these regulations that control oil and gas and surface mining. I'm very familiar with them. I've worked in compliance since I got out of school. This is what I've done. Oil field compliance with the federal government, with the state of Texas, with the state of Louisiana. So I'm very familiar. I would say I'm more familiar than any of my opponents.
Okay.
Whether it's Wayne or Sarah or Dwayne or Marvin Summers, I am more knowledgeable about these than they have ever been. In fact, I would venture to say that they've never had to actually use these regulations or reference them in their lifetime in a professional capacity.
Okay.
So they've never actually, their job has never, relied upon them knowing the regulations. My job, how I make money, I have to know what these regulations are, and I have to know how to abide by them and make sure that the operator is not breaking the law and that the job gets done right. So I know why the regulation was written. I know if it needs to be changed, how to change it, right? And I know that if we want to have smart regulations to keep us out of hot water with the EPA, I know how to implement that, and that's what we need to be doing. If we need to pass any regulation, it needs to be a smart one to make sure that nothing crazy happens.
Protected as well.
Very small tweaks. If you're going to change something, you don't just jump off the deep end.
Okay.
Right? But there are instances and times when you do need to make these small tweaks in policy, and you better have somebody there that's got the experience with regulations before you change something. If they have experience with it, they can tell you, well, if you make this change, this is what's going to happen. They can foresee the consequences.
Can see kind of the domino effect.
That's right. That's right.
Which so I'm gonna go over Twitter. Oh yes, Richard's back. Okay, Richard says I'm still in awe that you'd ask taxpayers to bail out a government agency with a tax write-off as the incentive. Speak to that, because that might be kind of several people's kind of
Yeah, they don't like tax write-offs. You know, some of the people there's a lot of people that just hate the idea of nonprofits because they're like, oh, that's a tax write-off. You know, they're just getting a tax write-off. Okay, so here's the deal. If you don't use a nonprofit to take care of this problem, it's not going to get solved. It's not.
Okay. So you feel that you have to do this.
You have to.
Okay.
If there's another way, once again, question out to everyone in the whole audience. If you've got a better way to deal with this besides using nonprofits, please, I'm all ears. I've been working on this for over 6 years.
Okay.
Trying to figure out this problem on how to deal with it. All right. So if you don't want people to get a federal tax deduction, that means that you are for spending more of your own tax dollars in Texas. Is that what you want? So it's an either or scenario. It is. It's a black or white.
Okay.
You're either going to have nonprofits do this and people are going to get tax deductions to help clean up the environment. Terrible, right? I mean, you're clean up the environment and you're going to get a tax. Oh, that's just terrible. Terrible, terrible. Or you're going to have taxpayer money being spent from people in Texas to clean up this problem.
Do you feel that most, solutions or political solutions to certain subjects is black and white, or do you feel that there's areas of gray? I mean, what's your kind of?
I think when it comes to spending money, it is pretty black and white. I think most people that understand how Austin works understand that there's money trains that have been set up, and those trains come and go right on time. And if you disrupt that, you're causing big problems. Okay. So if I wanted to go into Austin and say, hey, we're going to completely rewrite how all this stuff has happened, you're going to get so much pushback, it'll never happen.
Okay.
It'll never happen. Like, I can try to make that argument as a railroad commissioner that we need some kind of fiscal reform there. But it's like I said, I've talked about this before. We can beg Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick's really the one that you have to work through. Dan Patrick's the most powerful Republican in the state, the lieutenant governor, because he sets the agenda in the legislature. So if Dan Patrick feels like it's a better idea to spend more than $30 million a year of our taxpayer money, right, of our money, this isn't money that just comes out of the air. This is taxpayer money that everyone in Texas contributed to, or oil and gas companies contributed to, the industry did. So we either spend more of that money, which tax money, listen, that pays for our schools, that pays for our roads, that pays for law enforcement.
Yeah.
That pays for building
civil services. Yeah.
Pays for building the border wall. We're building right down on the border right now. The Texas is paying for. So you want to dip into those funds to plug these wells when we've got all these pressing situations? That's what the people in Austin tell you. If you ask them, well, we need more money to plug wells, they say, well, we need more money for all these other crazy problems that we have right here. You know, so it's a priority situation. And like I said, I think the best way to do it is with a federal tax deduction and through the nonprofits. And there's plenty of conservatives out there that agree with me on that. And I know conservatives typically don't like nonprofits because there's nonprofits out there that aren't conservative. And they tend to give nonprofits in general
a non-conservative
a bad name. Yeah, you know, like, heck, you know, a nonprofit's a nonprofit. It's there to help society out, usually 9 times out of 10. And listen, if you don't like nonprofits, then call your congressman and call your senator and tell them that we need to get rid of 501c3s. Oof. All right? Oof. Go for it.
All right, so wait, hold on. Before we get to that, so Daryl says, okay, wait. Now, let's keep this going. We'll go back to Daryl. All right. Because I think, so you're asking taxpayers to cough up 2 times the amount of money we're already paying?
2 times? I don't understand, Daryl.
No, Richard.
Richard?
Daryl, you're cool.
All right,
and you are too, Richard. I love this. So anyway,
Richard, I don't want taxpayers to spend any money. That's the whole point of a nonprofit, Daryl, is for companies, Richard, for companies to get a write-off. And yeah, you know, it's federal tax money that you're taking from. So do you want the money coming from the federal tax pool, or do you want it coming from the state of Texas? You got 2 options. Either that, or you have to have people voluntarily just give you the money without any donation at all. And because we have 501c3s in America that help out problems that are environmentally related, like, I think that's a good avenue for it. So, Richard, if you want to start an organization that does not take tax deductions, is not a 501c3, it's a for-profit. If you want to start a for-profit organization where you end up making money off of this, Richard, well, then go for it. And you can go take money that's not tax deductible, and you can get out there and you can start plugging wells. Let me know how that works out for you. Let me know if that's something that you think industry and the Railroad Commission would champion. I would love to know. I don't think that's possible. So that's it. And so if you don't handle the solution, you're going to have the problem anyways. Like if you don't have a solution for it, if you don't do something about the problem, it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger like cancer. It's just going to grow and grow and grow. And that's what we're seeing out here with this liability. It gets dirtier and nastier, and these wells become more expensive to plug. Kick the can down the road.
So Daryl actually says, can we speak to major oil and gas companies about donating on a larger scale?
Yeah, they should be. Every single one of them. The Railroad Commission should be out there championing anybody that wants to make orphan wells disappear.
Okay.
Whether they want to turn them into, geothermal, if they think there's a way to do that, or if they want to just plug the wells in general. There should be people of the Railroad Commission that say, hey, this is a good idea. And the reason there aren't right now is because they don't want to admit that there's a problem. They don't want to admit that they don't have a solution to get rid of these orphan wells. That's the reason you don't see Wayne Christian tweeting about it. Like, go just look up Wayne Christian and orphaned well and type that in and see how many times Wayne Christian has addressed a solution for orphan wells. All you're going to see is that Houston Chronicle op-ed where he's just saying, well, Carbon Tracker's wrong on the number.
That's the only response?
That's it. That's the only response. It's the whole Railroad Commission's response to orphan wells is, well, we spend $30 million and look at all the good. We've cleaned up these. We plugged 1,400 wells. They don't talk about there's 6,000 to 7,000 wells on that list, and they're getting 1,400 put on the list every year. So, okay, you take 2 steps forward, you take 2 steps back. You're in the exact same spot you were when you started. That's where we were this year, the year before, and really it's not even 2 steps back because the amount of wells on that list is actually getting bigger. If you look historically, we're getting more and more added to the list. So it's more like take 2 steps forward, take 2.5 steps back.
Paula
really.
Abdul would be furious about that.
She would.
So my question is, for example, we got some other stuff to go into, but for example, this discussion with Richard, for example, you know what I mean? The debates you're going to have, with Sarah,
right.
And other candidates running for this stuff. Do you enjoy having these type of discussions?
I love it.
Do you really?
I live for this. I do. I love to talk politics and policy. I am energy policy. I am an energy policy guy. I love it. Okay. I live, eat, and breathe this. If there's policy around energy, I want to know about it. If you ever want to talk about how Obama got the crude export ban repealed or why that happened, we could go down that rabbit hole too.
But you enjoy these differences of opinions or maybe different approaches to a solution.
There are.
Even if they do get heated.
That's right. I really do, because everyone has different approaches. A Democrat may look at this race and say, "Oh, they all believe the same thing." No, couldn't be further than the truth.
Right.
I guarantee you, all 5 of us running for this position have different ideas and thoughts and on what should be happening to the Railroad Commission and how to solve these problems.
Have you chatted with any of the other candidates about kind of coming up with I'm not saying a joint solution, just kind of sat around, kind of have a little think tank conversation, or is that not something you do during the campaign? Is that something you do after the campaign?
You can't coordinate with candidates during a campaign. It's not really something you should be doing. Coordinating campaigns. It's not really coordination campaigns, but I'm saying
having
like an open conversation about what the problems are.
There's obviously issues right now going on. There's obviously concerns going on right now, and I'm just trying to see. Is there kind of a forum or discussion that maybe or even sidebar conversations y'all have had? Say, hey, look, this actually probably makes more sense than doing this.
I think the closest thing that we're going to get to that is maybe a forum or a debate where we could actually get everybody there to actually talk together. So we'll have the debate in Midland, maybe one here in Houston. Maybe somebody will want to host a forum, and I think maybe actually there are a couple of Republican organizations that are hosting. I'm going to be one. I think it's the Piney Woods GOP group Wayne Christian will be there, and I will be there actually at the same time. So there will be opportunities here. Oh, yeah.
For that.
Yeah, but JP should come along, man. It'll be great. There's going to be some great opportunities to have voters ask their questions of me and him. Hopefully, Wayne will actually answer. Hopefully, Wayne will take questions from the audience. I'm willing to take questions from anyone.
I mean, obviously, we don't even know where we're going. I mean, you're very open to answer.
Very
questions.
open. I would say I'm the most open out of all the candidates to the media and to the people. I've been trying everything I can to make sure that people get to ask me questions. Whatever it is I can do to facilitate that, let's make it happen. Whether it's a meet and greet or more live stuff like this, or tweeting out questions ahead of a podcast, or, hey, listen, you want my cell phone numbers? 979-575-0000.
979
575-0000. That's the Aggie hotline. That's my old phone. You can hit me up.
Wait, 0000.
That's right. That's right.
Lucky.
Aggie hotline on that one. And hey, listen, if you want to call me on my Midland phone number, because hey, the Aggie hotline didn't pick up because I'm in the middle of nowhere. Hit me up at 432-208-2273. Now, if both of my phones don't ring, you can always email me
at
tom@slocumfortexas.com. Or you can hit me up on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, come on. So, hey, I'm here to take your questions. I'm here to answer them. We can go round and round all day long.
So there was a couple questions on Twitter that kind of came in talking about, what is the Second Amendment? What else was there? What is the Second Amendment? What were some of the things how does that correlate? What was it? It was Second Amendment,
border security.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
What is that? How does that correlate to the Railroad Commission Commissioner office? I mean,
let's go through border security real fast, and we'll go to the Second Amendment. So border security, people are like, well, what does securing the border have to do with the Railroad Commission? Okay, why don't you take a moment and Google pipelines exploding or terrorist pipeline attack? All right, and then Google
and then open the door for the FBI coming in your place.
Or Google America's pipelines that were shut down by hackers and from Russia. All right, it doesn't take much to disrupt our critical energy infrastructure. So let's just throw this out. Say we're in the middle of a freeze and we're in a blackout for 5 days, and some terrorists from bad country, bad guys, do harmers, terrorists, bad people. They decide, America's got like an open border down there in Texas. We're just going to stroll right across the border, and we're going to go do really bad things. Yeah, we're going to blow up this pipeline. They don't have electricity right now. Well, we blow this pipeline up, they're not going to have it for another 3 weeks.
Okay.
Well, if that happened, I bet you people would be wondering
why didn't we do this before?
Why did we have our pipelines at risk? How did we let terrorists just stroll into the country? Why don't we have ports of entry where people can come in and we can see who these people are? I'm not against immigration, and I had a reporter today try to put words in my mouth.
Ooh, give us the juice.
Oh, that's right.
Give us the juice.
They tried to say, oh, you're for border security. You must not be for immigration. I had to stop them right there and say, hey, no. I am for ports of entry where you can come through legally and we know who's coming through. If that means we need a fence all the way to that port of entry because people keep coming over where it's unfenced instead of going through the port, well, then we need to put up a fence there. All right, so border security is important to Texas. We are the energy mecca of the world. Houston is definitely the energy mecca of the world. We got to protect it here. We can't just allow anybody to come over without vetting them and knowing who this person is. And we do know that lots of terrorists have made their way across that border. And so I'm not against immigration. I'm against bad people coming over here and doing bad things to us. And, this never happens. Well, people didn't think Pearl Harbor was going to happen either, and it happened, right? People didn't think we were going to lose electricity for 5 days last year, but it happened.
We didn't think the Russians and Cubans would invade us, but look at Red Dawn, 1988. Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze. Good point.
Totally happened, right?
So we so that's border security. So that's why it's important to you. So that way to prevent or reduce the potential.
The threat. Yeah, there's a threat there for terrorist activity to take place. And so securing the border is definitely important. Now, moving on to the Second Amendment, If you want to know why I have the Second
Yeah.
Amendment on my webpage, yeah, okay. So let me tell you about running for statewide elected office in Texas.
Oh, cool.
People will ask you questions about things that have nothing to do with the office you're running for. Can you
Really?
imagine that?
No, I can't picture
People will
that.
ask you questions like, hey, Tom, what do you think about legalizing cannabis?
Well, that's kind of the next.
Right?
We
Does
have
that
water
have
farming
anything?
and cannabis. We'll get to that.
Does that have anything to do with the Railroad Commission office? But people ask me these questions, right? The reason they ask me these questions is because they care about these issues that don't have to do with the Railroad Commission, but they realize that electing somebody to a statewide office, they're going to have a microphone and they're going to have a mouthpiece and they're going to get out there and they're going to say whatever their beliefs are over and over and over again. So do you want to elect somebody to the Railroad Commission
you're not sure about
that hates the Second Amendment?
Right.
Do you want to elect somebody to the Railroad Commission that is a gun-grabbing Beto supporter that wants to take away your AR-15? Is that who you want? Or do you want somebody that's pro-Second Amendment? Hey, you never know. Somebody from the Railroad Commission that's a statewide office, they may get asked by someone one day to go run for a higher position. Do you want that person there to be against your values at the end of the day when they are taken from a position at the Railroad Commission and then oh, we want you to go run for lieutenant governor or senator or Congress or whatever it might be? Do you want that person to have your values there? That's the reason it matters.
So it's pretty much.
Do you campaign on that solely? Do you see the only position on my webpage is the Second Amendment or border security?
No.
Or do you only campaign on those issues? No, you don't. But you let people know what your viewpoints are on those issues so primary voters know the difference between me and Sarah Stogner and Dwayne Tipton. You never know. One of those people might be completely against the First Amendment or the Second Amendment or the 10th Amendment or whatever it is. But unless you ask those questions, you're not going to know.
So it's kind of a way for if people are, without talking to you, or they kind of get a little blurb and kind of where you stand, where your values stand, and all that stuff, kind of what you do.
That's right.
All right, I do that. Well, going back to the to that, so question from my lady. Sure, Daryl. Water, farming, and cannabis. Water.
You know what we need in Texas to make more money, JP? Water.
Water.
You can't do anything without water. You can't frack a well without water.
Okay.
You can't raise cattle without water. You can't grow crops without water. In fact, from what I understand, Texas, we legalized hemp here in Texas. And the Ag Commissioner, Sid Miller, has done everything he can to push that and to grow the economy. That's the reason why. We want to make more money in Texas.
Right.
But if we don't have the fresh water to do it, we're never going to get there. And there's a lot of things that come along with farming, genetics, etc. There's a lot of things with hemp that are going to be a while before they really come along. But like I said, if you don't have the water there to do it, and your water is contaminated maybe from oil and gas activity, you're really not going to have any water there to do it. So water is like gold, especially in West Texas. You don't think about it right here, JP. We're sitting here in the swamp.
No. I've been in West Texas. I've seen Skyfall. I understand the importance of water.
But when you're sitting in the swamp or over in the Sabine River, you're surrounded by it.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, you're like, it's the last thing on your mind is we need more fresh water because you're just sitting around fresh water. You're soaking in it. And but the people out there in West Texas need it. And before you die, JP, I think we will be pumping fresh water from the Sabine River to West Texas. Now, they do it in the Middle East.
Okay.
They do it in Israel. How many miles of pipeline do we have here in Texas, JP?
I'm going to leave that. Look, that's our trivia question
right?
today. I'm not going to answer that. It's for y'all.
So if we were to just put in a few miles of pipeline to move water around the state, and that started making the state a lot of money, I would say that'd be a worthwhile project for private companies, not the government, but for private companies to invest in. Well, what do you mean, Tom? You can't do anything like that. Well, you're building the freaking the light rail, right? The state of Texas is not building that. Our government is not building that.
It's a company.
That is a private company that is building the light rail because there is a need for it. There's a free market demand for it. It's the same thing with water. There is a free market demand for it, but also there's a liability aspect for it. Look, if big oil companies have a boo-boo out in West Texas and put a bunch of oil on somebody's freshwater table, wouldn't it be really cool if they were like, hey, guys, we just built this awesome, big, badass pipeline full of fresh water. we know you kind of screwed up your water, but listen, we got this huge pipeline here. We'll deliver it to you now. No problem. You know, we'll
And that's
pipe it
a lot
over
easier
there.
too versus the black eye that the industry is going to get. From
Right. Yeah. You know, we're going to get a black eye when stuff like this happens. So where's the insurance policy for it, guys? We're building new pipelines to move oil and gas all over the state. You're telling me we can't build a couple of really big ones just to pump some fresh water out to West Texas? Like, is there some money involved here? Are there some payoffs happening? Why hasn't this happened yet? Are we really that far behind the curve here in Texas with pumping water around that we can't solve this problem? I mean, have you not
solve it?
You've heard the song "Level Land," right? Like, is this going to drop and blow away, or are we actually going to put some water on it?
Yeah. So we got my old. So I went to school in high school in Connecticut. That's where I grew up. We got Ryan Gombeski. Man, what a great head of hair. I went the other way, JP. Ryan, don't worry, bald's beautiful too, man. All right, but he says, how long do we have till Texas flips blue and further impairs our access to natural resources?
You know, if we don't have good leadership of the Railroad Commission to actually handle the problems that we're facing, then that's going to give a lot of fuel to Democrats.
Okay.
And that's going to increase their chances of flipping the state blue. So we
feel that this office, this position, the role right here is kind of it could be a potential domino.
It is very important to keeping Texas red. If you want to keep Texas red, it starts with the oil and gas industry here. It starts with making sure that we handle the problems correctly and that we don't have the EPA and Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Cory Booker or Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi telling us how we run the show in Texas.
Right.
We're going to run our own show here. We're going to do a good job at it, and we're going to do that by electing people like me to office and kicking out career politicians who don't have any oil and gas experience.
Okay. And there is 479,780 miles of pipeline in Texas.
All right.
Thank you, Quentin, for the thing.
Maybe we could just use maybe about 4,000 miles of freshwater pipeline. Just that,
just take a little bit.
Maybe 4,000 or 5,000, just a little bit.
0.5%.
And then we could ranch and farm, make all kinds of money.
So how much communication have you had with the other candidates and all that stuff? Is there any communication, or is it pretty much you're getting after it, you're meeting with people, you're not worried?
I'm in my own lane. My lane is the conservative lane. I am the most conservative candidate out of any of these people.
Okay.
All right. I've got my own ship to sell in my own conservative lane over here, and I'm taking this lane because it's mine. This is who I am.
You're owning it.
This is who I am. I am a very conservative person, and I want to make sure people know they've got a conservative choice in this race. Everybody else is going to run their race how they want to. I've seen Sarah tweet a lot of stuff out because we've kind of run across each other.
Yeah, y'all are at the blowout. It
yeah,
seems like y'all are there, she's there, you're there, she's
where there's a problem, I'm going to be there. I showed up to East Texas because there was a problem out there. As far as I know, I'm the only person to show up in East Texas to talk to those voters about that landfill that they want to put over there. The High Roller Club wants to put in. I'm the only person that has driven over there and met with those people. So if there's a problem, I'll be there. Sarah might be there too. But I'm dedicating every day to campaigning. And yeah, I'm still doing a little bit of work. The reason I'm in this office today, one of them is to pull well files. I've actually got some wells I need to plug here. So I'm going to be making copies and doing research and filing permits so I can plug some wells while I'm here in Houston. But I'm running around and I'm doing everything I can to make sure that where there's an incident, that it's getting the attention it needs.
Okay.
And so if that's a blowout concern, if that's some rancher in South Texas that's got a problem, whoever it is, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be everybody's railroad commissioner. I'm just not going to answer the phone if Exxon or Shell or Chevron call. Like most of the commissioners, if it's one of their buddies,
buddy,
Pioneer, whoever, somebody big calls, oh yeah, I'll answer the phone for so-and-so, they don't typically answer the phone for ranchers and farmers.
The ones that are having the issue.
Yeah, they typically don't. They file a ton of complaints and maybe they get an email back from the Railroad Commission attorney, but rarely, if ever, I think, do they actually get a visit from a railroad commissioner to the location
to find out what's going on
in person.
Boots on the ground.
Actually make an appearance.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I get it.
That's it.
So we have Tyler Abity. I think during the clubhouse days.
Oh, yeah,
during the
good old
clubhouse
Tyler.
days, he says, shout out to Tom.
What's up, man?
Daryl says her name is Sandra. She's watching closely and listening. Well, thanks for tuning in, Daryl and Sandra. We've got some good active participants here. I don't know why it does this, LinkedIn user. Trying to find out who said that. Sorry, whoever you are, whoever chimed in this question, I apologize. Why is it okay to ban pipelines in the U.S., but the Biden administration thinks pipelines are okay outside the U.S.? Oh, this is the Mount mentality type of question. And stop sanctions on Nord Stream 2. How do we get more pipelines moving? Great job, Tom. And JP.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, we got to have more pipelines in Texas and in America in general. And it just, you want to talk about hypocrisy. This guy, Joe Biden, his son used to sit on the board of Burisma, right? That's a natural gas company. He's over there in foreign countries making gas deals, pushing things forward. Hey, yeah, sure, let's let the Russians sell all their gas to Germany. Let's push Nord Stream 2 all the way through, which Trump successfully kept from happening. He had made several moves to make sure that would never happen, and the Biden administration had to specifically undo that for it to happen. So, yeah, Joe Biden is out there doing everything he can to help the competition that we have, which is Russia.
Okay.
He's in bed with the Russians. He's in bed with Europeans. He doesn't care anything about domestic oil and gas.
Right.
Listen, if we didn't have any more domestic oil and gas here tomorrow, Joe Biden wouldn't care at all. You know, who cares if we don't have jet fuel for our bombers in case we get attacked by China or Russia? We go to war tomorrow. Oh, we don't need jet fuel. You know, they're not concerned about producing oil and gas here for the next 50, 60, 100 years. They don't even see a need for it. You know, it boggles my mind.
Renewables next.
It boggles my mind. You
2024.
know what people should really, though, they should really be paying attention right now, because of Trump and because of Rick Perry, we were able to put in so many LNG export facilities here in America.
Okay.
If it wasn't for those facilities, you know what the price of natural gas in Europe would be right now? It'd be way higher than it is now. And
They're already getting beat down.
it's already at historical prices.
Yeah.
You know, people would be freezing to death for sure in Europe this wintertime if it wasn't for those export facilities. We already have 4.5 million people freezing to death every winter around the world. Okay, that was published in a study from Australian University, Chinese University, not too long ago. 4.5 million people freeze every year because they don't have heat. They don't have heat. They don't have reliable, sustainable,
transportable.
Yes. They don't have that energy there when they need it most. And we're in the business here. Apparently, the Western world thinks it's a great idea to get rid of all of our base load energy power, whether it's coal or nuclear. We haven't built anything nuclear here in Texas in forever. What's going on? You know, we need to add on base load power if we take away base load power. But we also have more and more people moving to Texas.
So
and
we're going to increase, so we can't keep the same.
We have to increase base load power.
Right.
And windmills and solar panels is not base load power. So if we have this huge demand that keeps growing and we keep whacking off coal plants and, let's sell that one to China, box it up and send it to China so they can open it up tomorrow. And, we'll put up some more windmills and solar panels. And when it freezes, maybe natural gas will be there to help us. Yikes. We have to realize that the federal government put us in a position here in Texas to where we're forced to use more natural gas. And so that natural gas is now our baseload power.
Okay.
It was not before like it is now, and now it is. So we have to protect that natural gas.
Because we removed the coal. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we have to protect the goose that lays the golden egg, our industry here, and make sure that we're not going to get hit with a bunch of cheap shots because of some winterization issues, right? Those winterization issues have to be ironed out. We have to be able to deliver in Texas times of need, the natural gas industry, American oil and gas, Texas natural gas. We have to be able to say, hey, we've got all this ready to go.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough thing if there's another failure on a lot of
If
things.
there is, Greg Abbott, that would probably be the end of his political career. After making that statement.
Taylor Kelly says, Sarah Stronger is a good candidate as well. You both have your work cut out for you, Tom. Good luck to everyone running.
Thanks.
I like that. Thank you, Taylor, for tuning in. Appreciate that. And my boy from Staples High School, Westport, Connecticut, says this administration is clearly trying to hinder our ability to be self-sufficient as a nation and impede our ability to remain competitive globally. Welcome to the oil field. Yeah, I think you hear that around any location right now.
That's right.
Great job hosting, JP, and special thanks to Tom for articulating his platform and views. Thank you, Tyler. Back to work. John Clark, very informative. John Clark, great guy. Love that guy over at Volant Products. So anyway,
thanks for listening, John.
So I guess we've been talking about an hour and a half right now. It's been a great conversation. I really apprite you taking the time and squeezing time out to do this, man. Stuff. Well, I guess what are some final thoughts, words, messages, or anything you'd like to share with the audience? And the audience, if you have any questions, I'm here for another 30 minutes. Feel free to chime in. But I guess if you want to carry us out with kind of any final thoughts or anything like that, feel free.
Yeah. So here's the deal, guys. We've got some serious challenges coming down the pipeline. All right. And if we don't make the right choices for the industry, then we're going to end up getting regulated out the butt from the feds. And we're going to be in a position of feeling pain where we shouldn't have to. And that's the bottom line here. So if you want people that understand the regulations and understand what needs to be changed, if anything, and why, and how to position our industry to where if there's a bad situation that happens, we don't get a bunch of negative PR. We actually get positive PR, if anything, out of it. Then you need to put me there. You need to vote for me.
Positive PR for the oil and gas industry.
Positive PR for the whole.
That is a change.
Yeah, that's a challenge. Now,
Like
JP, that's probably a challenge.
That's what we'd all like.
That's a challenge you've been facing for quite a while. I bet.
Yeah, we've all been facing that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has, right? I mean, there's a reason why you exist and why digital wildcatters exist and everybody else exists is because the media is non-existent when it comes to
the positive,
the positive
humanizing our industry.
That's right. Yeah. And so we have to have this oil and gas here, folks, right? And we're going to have problems in the industry from producing oil and gas. It's how we handle those problems.
We handle ourselves, or we let other people tell us how to handle it.
Do we handle those problems well? Do we handle those problems at all? Right now, I would say the problems are not being handled at all on many levels. And so you at least have to handle them, and you better be handling them well.
Right.
And so I promise you, if you vote for me, I will do everything I can to make sure those problems are handled correctly at the end of the day, and that Texans make more money. And that if we need to get rid of the flare gas tax, I'll be up there with a megaphone standing in front of the Capitol every day saying, get rid of this, get rid of it, get rid of it.
So show us give us the viewers the timeline on kind of everything that's kind of that you're working with right now when it comes to the campaign, the voting, the primary, whatever all that fun stuff is. I don't know. You tell us.
Yeah. So every day I've got a list of places where I could possibly go, and I have to make a decision.
No. What I'm saying is, like, when do people? I guess when is this vote?
Oh, when is the election?
When does all this stuff happen?
Oh, okay. Well, the first day of voting is Valentine's Day, February 14th.
I knew that.
So I've got, less than a month and a half basically to attend every event I possibly can before the first day of voting happens. The last day of voting is March 1st. So you have between February 14th, Valentine's Day, and March 1st to go in and cast your vote. I have until February 14th to see every GOP primary voter in the state of Texas, shake their hand, let them know what it is that I'm up to and why you need to be voting for me. So my time schedule is very condensed right now. Excuse me. Very condensed.
No, I can imagine. Honestly, what I'm seeing you doing, what I appreciate is the fact that you are getting out there, that you are trying to make all the appearances you can. You're trying to get on whether it's local news, you're trying to get on, Collins, the Digital Wildcatters platform. You're trying to do this live stream. You're trying to do debates. Yep. I see you very engaged when it comes to kind of the social media presence and all stuff. I see you primarily. I see Sarah. I see Sarge and all that stuff. But it seems like you're the ones that's trying to kind of get out there, trying to get the people talking, people asking questions.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're trying to get the feedback.
Right. I'm trying to engage with everyone that I possibly can because I want to know what people think about the Railroad Commission. I want to know what their concerns are. I want to know what primary voters in Texas care about because
Right.
they're the ones that are pulling the lever.
Yeah.
All right. They're the ones making the decision. The voters are. And you have to make sure that you understand what their concerns are and that you are going to not only listen to them, but you're going to do something for them and you're going to find solutions for them where you can, and if there's something egregious that's going on and the leadership in Austin is failed the voters completely, then it's your responsibility as a Texan to pick up the slack.
All right. So the conversation on hats, wearing a hat indoors. What's going on with that? What's up with that? There seems like there's a lot of there's a lot of haters about the hat indoors on. I'm digging it.
The silver belly Stetson,
silver belly Stetson.
Yeah, it's in my truck right now. I'm sitting here in the office. I guess I should have brought it with me. I feel like maybe
I thought I was almost going to bring mine. If I did, I would have told you.
I'm losing part of my persona by not having it on, I guess. No, I love the Stetson, and I think it's hilarious that it triggers the crap out of so many people when you wear a hat indoor. Oh my God, wear a hat. What is this? Are we in like 1890? What is this?
1870s? You can't wear inside the saloon.
Right? Yeah. Like what Western, JP, have you not watched where people were wearing hats inside of a saloon, man? I don't know, man.
I don't know. I don't know.
Wait. Or is this? Are we at like some like upper crusty New York club where you're required to take off your coat and hat where you walk through the door?
I love maybe that's what New York clubs. That's my scene. So
yeah, dude.
Anyway, Tom, I want to thank you for stopping by. And again, Tom Slocum, the candidate for the Texas Railroad Commission. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for doing this. I know your schedule's gonna be packed the next few weeks.
I'm a little busy.
Wish you luck on the road. Wish you safe travels wherever you're driving to, and keep informing the audience of what's going on and all that stuff. And I look forward to the debate. I'm looking forward to seeing you and Sarah back there and kind of talking and Sarge and all that stuff. I think it's gonna be, if anything, it's gonna be fun.
Oh, definitely. I'm ready to let her rip.
If anything, it's gonna be a good time.
Oh, it's gonna be a great time. And thanks, big man JP Warren, for showing up.
Hey, man,
I appreciate it.
So everyone, wait.
Got one more question? What do we got?
Quinn, I love it. After the primary is over and you are the candidate on the NOV ballot, what is your plan to ensure the seat does not fall to the other side?
Oh, on the I think you meant GOP ballot. What is my?
That's oil field. If auto corrects GOP to NOV, that is
an oil field
type. I love it.
Yeah. What's my plan to beat the crap out of the Democrats in the general election? Oh man, yeah. That's not going to be a hard one. Luke Warford, I think is his name. He's a carpetbagging Yankee from Delaware. I think he grew up next to Joe Biden over there, maybe, or he lives down the street from him. But
a carpetbagging, yeah,
he is a carpetbagging Yankee.
We're talking about like 1790s insults. I grew up in Connecticut, but I don't take offense. I don't get offended that.
Yeah. Well, JP,
I don't get offended that easy.
JP here isn't exactly your run of the mill Texan either, right?
Partner.
Carpetbaggers tend to show up when things are ripe for the taking, and I think JP's been in Texas a lot longer than that. But this guy, Luke, I think somebody from the DNC, Luke works in the DNC, number one. He's a political operative, number one. Okay. I'm pretty sure somebody in the DNC, after calling Krista Castaneda, who ran last time multiple times, probably trying to get her to run, after they realized Krista Castaneda wasn't going to run, they said, well, damn it.
They need somebody.
We have to have somebody. We need somebody with a pulse. Find me a warm body. And they could literally get no one in the state of Texas to do it, JP. They had to go all the way to freaking Delaware to go dig up a Democrat to come down here and run. So I cannot wait.
What is the
plan?
Run against what's the plan? What's the plan? What are you going to focus on stuff that he's not aware of or anything like that?
Well, number one, Luke's not from Texas. All right. Number one, Luke doesn't have any oil and gas experience. I can go back. There's a lot of big number ones there with Luke that I could go over and over again. But the list with Luke is probably 100 miles long. And, if you think, I'm better than the people I'm running against in this primary, there's no way you're not going to think I'm not more qualified than Luke. And if you're a Democrat, if you think Luke Warford, if you think that is going to be the one thing that pushes the Democrats over in Texas, there's no big Democrat on the ballot in Texas that's going to bring out all these Democrats in the general election to vote and push Luke Warford over the line. It's just not going to happen. But I would have lots of fun, and I would love to challenge Luke actually to debate. In fact, Luke, if you're listening now, if you want to just debate me one-on-one and leave everybody else at it, let's do it, man. If you want to do it live with JP Warren, come on down, or we'll go to Austin. Luke, I don't know where you live because you're not from Texas, but let me know where you're staying at, or if you're in a hotel or whatever. We'll come to you, Luke. But I would love to do that debate right now. I would love it. Anybody that wants to debate me, I don't care when. Right? You want to meet me at the gas station on the side of the road, whatever. I don't care. I would have fun debating him, and I would just, it wouldn't be close competition at all.
So
so much fun.
So after March 15th, that's when the one person is selected to kind of
March
move
1st.
Forward. March 1st is when the one person is selected to move forward.
Yep.
Ooh, that's
March 1st is when the GOP has picked their candidate, unless it goes to a runoff. If it goes to a runoff, then it'll probably be me against Wayne, right? If that happens, if I don't win outright, I'm going to have to probably go up against Wayne because he's the incumbent, and he'll probably get a lot of votes just because he's the incumbent, unfortunately, because there's a lot of uninformed, low information voters in Texas. Okay. Yeah. So, but you getting put in the runoff situation, I'm going to have everybody that voted for everyone besides Wayne backing me, I'm sure, right? And, I don't think Wayne's going to just come up with all of this huge sea level of support overnight in a runoff. I'm pretty sure he would get beat.
So let's say March 1st you do win the primaries, or let's say it is a runoff, whatever like that stuff.
Goes to May.
How do you plan to, I guess, get communicate, I guess, with Sarge's supporters, Sarah's supporters, and who's the person?
Dwayne Tipton,
right?
Yeah.
How do you plan to communicate to their supporters, or even to them directly, to kind of to say, hey, look, okay, the campaign was over. It was fun. It was tough, and all that stuff.
You need to support me now.
How do we do this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it goes back to what we all have in common. Sarge Summers does have a little experience in sales in oil and gas, from what I can see. Sarah has a little experience in oil and gas as an attorney in oil and gas. Dwayne works offshore. He's got experience in oil and gas working offshore. So would they want to support somebody who, like them, has worked in oil and gas? Or do they want to support the guy that they signed up to run against, who they don't like either, or they wouldn't be there running for the position, who has no oil and gas experience? Do they want to support him, the guy that they chose to run up against? Or do they want to support their equal, more or less, their counterpart, their colleague in the industry? I think they would want to support their colleague in the industry. And likewise, I'll tell you this right now, JP.
Shoot it.
If Sarah, Dwayne, or Sarge win the primary or go into a runoff with Dwayne Tipton, with Wayne Christian, if they get in a runoff with Wayne Christian, I'll be there to support him, because I think that Dwayne, Sarah, or Sarge would actually be better than Wayne Christian at the end of the day.
That's good sportsmanship. I dig that.
I mean, that's how big of a problem I think we really have here. And I think if you got all the people that are challenging Wayne Christian in a room and asked us that, I bet you could get us all to agree to that one thing. But I agree with it right now. I don't think Wayne needs to be there anymore. I think Wayne is doing things that are not best for the state of Texas, and he's not looking out for Texans' best interest. Right? We've got to have some changes here if we want Texas to be really as good as it could be. We're governed right now. We're being held back in so many places. We need to unleash the free market. We need to unleash new innovation. We need to get rid of the debt. And Wayne will simply not do it. But maybe one of these other people would be more attuned to doing it. I definitely will. You vote for me, and I promise you, top of my list of things to do is taking care of Texas.
What's your slogan?
Slocum for Texas.
Slocum for Texas.
Energy strong, energy Tom.
Okay. All right. It works.
If you really want to be strong, heck, I mean, I've had to call some people out and say, hey, if you're energy strong, let's get involved in this. Let's make it happen. Let's get all this communication out there. I think that being energy strong means that you're willing to do whatever it takes for Texas. And that includes debating, interviews, answering questions from the people, making the rounds, visiting everybody. That's when I say energy strong, that's what I mean. I'm here to look out for everybody and make sure our industry is going to be here 60, 70, 100 years from now in a much better position than we are in right now.
Okay. All right. I dig it. So last question to kind of sum this up for the EFT crew out there. Beans or no beans?
Are you talking about Texas chili? That's no beans. Man.
Okay.
You
heard it here. Round toe, no bean, Texas chili.
No beans.
Tom Slocum.
That's
right
it,
here.
Man.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great and a safe weekend, and all the you and all the other candidates out there. I know y'all are traveling. I hope y'all have a safe campaign trail out there. What else? Wait, one more. What law can be created to strengthen the Texan border against California immigrants? I don't think there is a law about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you might want to. Maybe you consider. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. That is a problem. We are being invaded by California, but the only thing I can hope for is that when people do move here and they realize how much better Texas is.
They know why they moved. They understand why they moved.
And you know what? Some of those people that move here from California, they won't be able to deal with it, and they'll just pack up and go back, and that's great too.
So everyone, Tom, thank you for your time. Everyone out there, check out my Energy Crew podcast. Got to give that a plug. Check out Connection Crew to I guess increase your connections in the oil and gas industry. So I want to thank everyone. Lonnie Applegate, another one of my Pinergy partners. Let us know when you're in North Texas. I'll give you his contact information after this. Daryl, thank you and Sandra for watching this.
Thanks, Daryl.
Was that Quentin or Daryl? I forget. But anyway.
And Richard and everybody else.
Everyone else for chiming in. Thank you for tuning in. I wish everyone else safety and a good time. And keep this campaign interested, man. This has been a great thing to watch. It's been fun to watch. I'm glad we were able to do this. And I want to thank everyone sitting here and watching this on a Friday afternoon. And other than that, I think that's all I have.
Yep. I think I'm going to go eat some barbecue over in the Heights over off 19th Street. That's where I'm headed.
Which barbecue?
Was it? It's on 19th and TC Jester. It's
this
new place.
Not Presley's.
Yeah, Presley's.
Yeah,
Presley's.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
They were on Michael Berry this morning.
Presley's good little spot.
Yeah. They, some food critic in the Houston Chronicle was giving them grief because they put up something on their placard that said, "You don't need a mask to come in here unless you're like Nancy Pelosi or something."
That sounds like a carpet bagging Yankee, if you ask me.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Ryan, good seeing you, buddy. I haven't seen you about over 20 years. Anyway, I hope everyone has a great weekend. And thanks, Tom.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, brother. And I guess let's keep this railroad commission campaign entertaining, civil, and fun. So
heck yeah, man.
We'll talk to everyone soon. And blah blah blah.
That was fun.